Do you want to learn a couple tips and tricks to make sure that your epoxy forms never leak? Well, then check this out. Hey everybody, this is Stetson with Whitewater Wood Co. And I want to share with you a couple of tips and tricks that I've picked up over the years of building epoxy forms and how to make sure that they don't leak when you leave them for the night. We've all seen the videos or experienced it firsthand, just the overwhelming amount of dread that you pour a whole bunch of epoxy and you leave for the night and you come back into your shop and you see just a puddle of epoxy on the floor. And it's a horrifying experience. I know personally I've had that experience. So I have developed a few extra tips and tricks just to help eliminate that horrible feeling that you get. Because epoxy is expensive, and this day and age, it's so expensive that you don't want to have these disasters. So come with me. We will go over a few tips and tricks when building your epoxy mold that will really help eliminate those. So the first tip that I want to share with you is how to properly use the silicone to seal the walls of your mold to the base of the mold and so on, so you don't get any of those leaks. And it's something that I learned the hard way, but through numerous trials. This is what I came up with, and it's really worked out well. So here is an epoxy mold that I'm using for a countertop project that I'm working on. It's about 88 inches long by 3 feet wide. It's got one of the slabs in there that you can see. But the first thing I want to explain is properly putting your silicone on. On this wall, you can see the slabs. It's got a bead of silicone here, and it's got one on the backside right here. So you would think that would be really tight. And for some people, that is enough. But what I've learned, and I'll just use this piece of plywood as an example, but before I place this side piece in the mold, I will run a bead of silicone along the bottom here. Just a nice little bead, and then you turn it over and you place the mold where you want it. This will get silicone underneath the wood, and it squeezes it out on the side. But what it also does is it creates I call it a uniform bond. I don't know what the proper term is, but it creates a bond between this side, underneath, and then on this back side here. So that is one way that I have really helped eliminate leaks, is by siliconing everywhere. Instead of just putting it on this side and this side, by creating one uniform piece of silicone underneath the wall, it really helped eliminate leaks. So yeah, doing proper silicone work will save you on a ton of leaks. And it's something that, I thought I was good enough. Oh, you just run a bead right here along the side, everything will be good. Wrong. So usually if you do what I just explained in that little example there, that really, really helps. And for some people, that's as far as you need to go. But I take it an extra step further, because epoxy is expensive. It's almost $100 a gallon. And if you have a leak, you can't recover that money. You can't pass that cost off to the customer, obviously. So I take it an extra step. So the next thing I will do, after I have given the silicone that's at the base of each of the walls at least a day, if not two, to cure, is when I start prepping my slabs, I will spray the whole entire base with mold release, get the slabs prepped, they'll be clamped down, and then I will come along this gap right here between the wall and the edge of the slab here, and I will pour a thin layer of tabletop epoxy all along this wall for the entire length of the mold, along the sides, back down here. The entire area gets covered with tabletop epoxy. And the reason why is because tabletop epoxy is thicker than deep pour epoxy that goes in here. Deep pour epoxy is, think of it like water. It is as thin as water, and it will always find a way if there's a leak. But by sealing the edge with tabletop epoxy along here, it's another level of security that can really help you prevent leaks. So yeah, running a thin bead of tabletop epoxy along the entire edge is that extra level of security. And you know, some people might watch this video and go, oh, what a waste of time, energy, effort. But if you've poured epoxy before and if you've had a leak before, you understand why this level of precaution is necessary. It doesn't take that much time to do. It really doesn't. You just whip up a quick batch of tabletop epoxy. It doesn't take much, but by just running it along those seams and letting it cure overnight, you're adding an extra level of security on that seam where epoxy could find a way. So I usually use clear. I usually don't tint it, but if I do put a tint in it, it'll be the same color as the river. So if I need to, and it'll all get shaved off anyway because it's along the edge and my form is oversized. So when I cut it to final length, all of that tabletop resin is going to get cut off with it. So it won't affect the final product, but it could save you hundreds of dollars in epoxy if you have a leak. And that is one thing that I don't ever want to share the experience with anybody else again. Like, it sucks. I mean, it is such a disheartening feeling, especially for a small business owner who, you know, we've already got enough of our own money on the line, but to see that go to complete waste, there's no recovering it, there's nothing you can do with it once it's on your floor. So it's just one of these, this is one of those tips that can really, really save you in the long run. It costs a little bit on the front end, but it can really save you on the back end. As a measure of last resort, you know, if you've done the silicone right, if you've put the tabletop epoxy in, it's always good to have, you know, those emergency measures in place or at least on hand so you can deal with the leak if you do get one. And the best stuff that I've found for plugging a hole right away is flex paste. It's the as seen on TV stuff, but a can of this stuff, if you just have it around just in case, it can really save you and it'll save you money. So since I started doing the tabletop technique, I haven't had a leak personally, but that's not to say it can't happen. If you bonk a mold, if it takes a hit or something like, and it breaks that seal a little bit, you know, leaks can happen. But if you're ready, you have a can of this just ready to go, at least you have some semblance of a chance of saving your epoxy. Well, that's it for this tip and trick advanced video for epoxy work. I hope that you gained some good knowledge from it and that you make your epoxy pours that much more successful. I do want to give a quick shout out to my friends at IsoTunes. They're not sponsoring this video in any way, shape, form, or whatever. They were just nice enough. I did a product review on IG of their IsoTunes 2.0 Pro earbuds for hearing protection that I wear in the shop. And they had just come out with the 3.0 version and they sent me them to try. So, and they sent me a hat and a t-shirt and everything. So big shout out to IsoTunes. I can't recommend them enough. Thanks everybody for watching. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.